Howdy folks, hope you all had a great weekend and welcome to another episode of Mingles with Jingles. So it probably hasn't escaped your attention that the Steam Summer Sale is once again in full swing. There are some pretty massive discounts. I mean, there's always good deals during the Steam Summer Sale. But if you have a look at the deep discount section, and I'm not sure how often this particular section of the Steam Summer Sale updates and changes, so do keep checking back to see what's new. But everything on the deep discount section is currently listed at 90% off, which means you can get absolute gems like Robocop Rogue City for less than $5. It's not just games like Robocop Rogue City either. I mean, under normal circumstances, you know, if you were a wise and old cynic or anything, you might suspect that the deep discount section of the Steam Summer Sale is where publishers stick all of the stuff that's basically been hung out to die. The games that they just can't get rid of for love nor money. But no, every single game listed in this particular section is at least Steam user reviewed, very positive or better. They're all good games, and they're all 90% off. You can get an even better deal on Steam at the moment for Borderlands 3, which is it's actually 95% off. You can get it for less than $3. Now, unlike everything on the deep discount section, Borderlands 3 is not enjoying very positive or overwhelmingly positive reviews. Its lifetime reviews are very positive. That's 121,201 Steam reviews at the time of recording. Its recent reviews, the last nearly 5,500, have all been mostly negative. And as you might suspect, none of this is to do with the actual quality or lack thereof of Borderlands 3. It was a pretty good game, but in the lead up to hype for and release of the upcoming Borderlands 4, Gearbox CEO Randy Pitchford just cannot keep his big stupid mouth shut. Talked about this last week, of course, with the lead headline being his completely needless speculation that the price of Borderlands 4, whenever it is eventually released, would be as high as $80. Just to remind you, the price that the game sees on release has absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with Randy Pitchford. He's the CEO of Gearbox. They're the development studio. They make the game. The publisher sets the price, not the development team. So when Randy speculated on social media that the price might even be as high as $80 on release, and everybody lost their minds, and then rubbed salt in the wounds by saying, and I'm not making this up because it's Randy Pitchford, he is incapable of saying or doing anything to make the situation better. He then went on to say that, hey, look, if you're a true fan of the Borderlands, you'll find a way to pay $80. Naturally, everybody lost their minds over this complete incapability of being able to read the room. And lo and behold, the publisher, 2K, announced that the release price was actually going to be $70. So Randy basically pissed everybody off for no reason whatsoever. Now, you could argue that $70 is still $10 too much, although given the fact that Borderlands 3 was the most expensive Borderlands game ever made, and it's also the least successful Borderlands game ever made, and Borderlands 4 cost twice as much to make as Borderlands 3, which is why Randy was speculating that it might be going on sale for as much as $80. And even then, unless it sells extremely well, 2K aren't making their money back. But it wasn't so much the fact that Randy had speculated that the game might cost as much as $80. I mean, it might have cost as much as $80. It was the way he just dismissed complaints by saying, well, if you're a true fan, you'll find a way to give us $80. Just completely tone deaf, as usual for Randy. He then followed this up with another completely tone deaf comment when the various different editions of the game became available for pre-order. The game's not due out until September, by the way. You can already pre-order it. Yeah, just don't. So anyway, we've got the standard edition of the game for $70. Then there's the deluxe edition and the super deluxe edition with increasingly exorbitant prices, but they can't hold a candle to the collector's edition, which is $150, and, again, not making this up, does not actually include a copy of the game itself. If you want to actually have the collector's edition and be able to play the game, it's going to cost you a minimum of $220, and that's for the standard edition and the collector's edition, and the standard edition doesn't even get you the DLC. for $220. Yeah. Now remember, Randy Pitchford is Gearbox's CEO. He's not part of Gearbox's public relations team. He actually has a public relations manager with their own staff to do all of this sort of thing for him. He's paying people to do this. But he just cannot seem to resist the urge to open his big fat mouth and just make their life needlessly difficult. It's like the public relations team at Gearbox. They don't actually do public relations, they just do damage mitigation, trying to clean up the mess every time Randy opens his mouth and makes their life more difficult than it needs to be. Because when 2K announced that there was going to be a collector's edition of Borderlands 4 for $150 that didn't actually include Borderlands 4, it's basically $150 for nothing, without being asked by anybody, Randy decided to let everyone know that $150 for nothing was pretty rad, you should probably get it because it was going to sell out fast. This upset a few people, and he's done it again. Because with the 95% discount, I mean, it's a 95% discount for Borderlands 3, and Borderlands 3 is a good game. This is a good thing. Borderlands 3 for less than $5. Nothing about this is bad. It would take a team of weapons-grade idiots a month of concentrated effort under laboratory conditions to come up with a way of fucking this up. A team of weapons-grade idiots? Or just one Randy Pitchford? Randy, of course, incapable of keeping his big, fat, stupid mouth shut, much to the utter despair of whoever he employs to manage Gearbox's social media, went onto Twitter and said, "Sales like this and Borderlands 3 showing up on console subscription programs took over 5 years from the game's launch to happen," which is true, and yeah, we know. Way too long, but better late than never. He then went on to say, "Take advantage when it's here. And to set expectations, it'll be even longer before this kind of thing happens in the next cycle with Borderlands 4. Now, admittedly, saying that it might take 6 or 7 years before you can expect to see Borderlands 4 go on sale isn't absolutely 100% the worst thing Randy Pitchford has ever said or done. But remember a couple of things. Randy didn't have to say anything. This was actually posted on Twitter as a retweet from the publisher 2K, announcing the 95% discount in the Steam Summer Sale. So Randy didn't actually have to say anything, but he just couldn't resist it, could he? And so Randy's retweet basically said, "You'll die of old age before you see Borderlands 4 come out at a discount like this. $70 please. Thanks, bye." And the other thing that you need to remember, and again, going back to the whole, if Borderlands 4 costs $80, you'll find a way to make it happen thing, pricing's got nothing to do with him. The game going on sale at a discount has got nothing to do with him. This was a retweet to the game discount announcement posted by 2K, the publisher. So 1, insensitive much, and 2, not up to you. You don't know when Borderlands 4 is going to go on sale at a discount. Randy's talking out of his arse again. You know, just for shits and giggles, because I was genuinely curious to see just who the poor bastard was at Gearbox who was responsible for public relations and social media. I just wanted to, I don't know, maybe do a bit of online cyber stalking. Check their social media, find out who they were, and just maybe look for clues as to just exactly how much of an alcoholic they've become as a result of having to do damage mitigation every time Randy Pitchford opens his big, fat, stupid mouth. You will not believe what I found. This is another case of you couldn't make this up. Gearbox are currently hiring a new PR manager. Presumably after the last one was admitted to the Betty Ford Clinic for alcoholism as a result of having to work for that massive douche canoe, Randy Pitchford. Well, in other amusing news, this is to do with Fortnite. No, don't go. It's got nothing whatsoever to do with the game itself. It's to do with the Fortnite cheater. There we go. That's better. Welcome back. I think this is the sort of thing that gets filed under poetic justice. There's this guy who goes by the name of Sebastian Araujo. I'm probably mispronouncing his surname. I really don't care. He's won more than $6,800 in Fortnite tournaments after evading a ban for cheating. $6,800 is not a huge amount of money, but it's probably more money than any of us are ever going to make for playing video games. The problem that Sebastian is currently experiencing is that after earning $6,800 in Fortnite tournaments by cheating his way through them, he is now in the situation of owing Epic $175,000. So how the hell did this happen? Oh, this is a good one. You see, this all stems from when he was originally banned from playing Fortnite on the 6th of June 2024, so almost exactly a year ago, after he got busted using a direct memory access device in a Fortnite tournament in order to get around their anti-cheat measures. So after getting banned, instead of taking it on the chin and being a good boy, he then went on to create at least 3 fake accounts between June and October of 2024 and used a hardware spoofer in order to keep playing and keep cheating. And over that 4-month stretch, he took part in at least 18 Fortnite tournaments, despite being officially banned, and won $6,850. Again, you know, it's not a huge payday, but it's also not nothing. So how did he end up owing Epic $175,000? Well, unfortunately for Sebastian, as well as racking up $6,850, he also earned 991 complaints for cheating during that same 4-month stretch. And Epic took notice. And in fact, once they collected enough evidence, barely 2 months after these 991 complaints were logged, Epic filed a lawsuit against him, which Sebastian completely ignored, like 100%. Didn't even show up in court, didn't even hire a lawyer to show up in court on his behalf. And that's probably actually the important part, because Epic showed up. Well, Epic's lawyers did. And so because when Epic's lawyers stated their case to the judge, and when the judge said, "Are there any objections?" there was nobody there to say, actually, yes. Over the 6-month trial period, and I don't understand why it took 6 months, if it was basically a no-contest trial. But I suppose the lawyers have to eat. I mean, do you have any idea how much it costs to insure a Ferrari? But either way, the whole thing did take 6 months, and the result was just handed down. And because nobody turned up to say, "Objection, Your Honour," Epic basically won a default judgment. $168,550 for DMCA and Copyright Act violations, and another $6,971 in attorney's fees, which seems a little light. It wasn't a total win for Epic, though, because they also filed a claim for $100,000 in statutory damages for copyright infringement, which the judge found to be just slightly excessive. Like, Epic, stop taking the piss, alright? You've won. No doubt Sebastian was very pleased that he only has to pay $175,000 and not $275,000 because, you know, clearly that would have been excessive. I mean, that's if he even realises he's on the hook for $175 large in the first place because, well, apparently he doesn't bother reading his emails. In case you're wondering what exactly Epic needs $175,000 for, it doesn't. It's given the whole proceeds of the court case away to Child's Play, the charity that donates toys and games to children's hospitals around the world. So, another easy PR win for Epic. Randy, are you paying attention here? Maybe you should start taking notes. In other amusing news, Microsoft just said that Windows 11 PCs are up to 2.3 times faster than Windows 10 PCs. This is one of those claims that, while not being strictly false, gets filed under the category of lies, damn lies, and statistics, kind of in the way that Wargaming aren't completely lying when they say that only 5% of all ammunition fired in World of Tanks is gold. It sounds like bullshit if you ever played a match at tier 8, 9 or 10 where it feels like at least 50% of all the ammunition fired is gold, because at least 50% of all the ammunition fired at tier 8, 9 and 10 is gold. But the statistic applies to the game as a whole, including all those tier 1, 2, 3 and 4 battles where everybody uses autocannons and expends hundreds of rounds of small caliber ammunition, none of which is gold, heavily skewing the weight of the statistic. Again, it's not a lie. It's kind of like the same way every time NVIDIA releases a 5000 series GPU. It's always accompanied by these incredibly misleading charts showing 6,000% relative performance gains using DLSS and frame generation. Relative to what, NVIDIA? Relative to cards that can't use DLSS and frame generation. Relative to what exactly? To which NVIDIA replies, "Sorry, what? Oh, look over there, a 3-headed monkey," and then they've disappeared when you turn around again. So what exactly are Microsoft basing this claim on? Windows 11 PCs are up to 2.3 times faster than Windows 10 PCs? Really? Exactly? State your sources. Well, to give Microsoft at least some credit, they do state their sources, although you have to dig through the fine print with a tooth comb to find it. All the way down at the bottom of the page, there's the quote, based on Geekbench 6 multi-core benchmark. See, and there's a link. And when you follow that link, here's what you find. Based on testing performed by Microsoft in December 2024 using Geekbench 6 multi-core score comparing a selection of Windows 10 PCs with Intel Core 6th, 8th and 10th generation processors and Windows 11 PCs with Intel Core 12th and 13th generation processors. Performance will vary significantly by device and with settings, usage and other factors. Did you get that? Did you notice the important part? It didn't have anything to do with the operating systems running on these computers. Windows 10 6th generation processors being tested against Windows 11 13th generation processors. Apparently the Windows 11 ones were faster. And Microsoft want you to believe, and they also fervently hope you're not actually clicking on the link in the small print, that the PC with 24 cores and 32 threads is 2.3 times faster in a multi-core test than a PC with 4 cores and 8 threads from 9 years ago, and the only reason it's faster is because it's running on Windows 11. And if you believe that, could I possibly interest you in the collector's edition of Borderlands 4? It's only $150. You don't actually get a copy of the game with it, but you do get a map, a paperweight, and a necklace. And I hear it's pretty rad. It's going to sell out fast, so you should probably get it while you can. Finally, does everybody remember Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2? Yeah, sequel to the, was it 2004? I think, yes, 2004 release of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, which was one of, arguably, maybe even the greatest single-player role-playing game ever written. I mean, there's some fairly stiff competition for that title, but it really was genuinely amazing. Buggy as all hell, in many cases almost completely unplayable, if not for the huge community patch that was released for it, but still a genuinely great game. Well, 10 years ago, Hardline Labs pitched a sequel, Bloodlines 2, to the publisher and the copyright owner, Paradox Interactive. This means that Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 has been in development for almost as long as Star Citizen. But you can actually play Star Citizen, or at least a version of something that might one day actually become Star Citizen. No such luck with Vampire, despite the fact that the game is apparently on schedule for an October 2025 release. Yeah, they kept that one quiet, didn't they? Because the only, and I have been, paying attention ever since I heard that Paradox were going to do a sequel. I have been paying attention to news about Vampire Bloodlines 2. But the only things I can remember hearing about this game in, well, ever, are entire development studio sacked, new development studio hired, starting from scratch, delayed. And now, 4 months away from the release date apparently, all I'm hearing is that VFX artists, technical producers and 3D animators are all looking for new opportunities from the development studio, the Chinese Room. 4 months before the game's supposed to come out. Let me just remind you all, this is the time period when a developer usually needs all hands at the wheel because they're hitting the crunch period and they need to make sure the game comes out on time. This is when you need everybody. This is not when you lay off 15% of your workforce. And yet the publisher, Paradox Interactive, who by the way didn't even announce all the firings, they simply commented on the news of the firings leaking out by saying, development on Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 is unaffected by the recent staffing changes. Staffing, that's a cute way of putting it. The recent staffing changes at the Chinese Room. The game is still scheduled for an October release. 4 months away from the official release date after 10 years of development hell, right after firing an undisclosed number of the development team at the point in development when you really need the whole development team, and they're still insisting it's coming out in October, despite not being able to specify exactly when in October. If you believe this, I've got a collector's edition of Borderlands 4 to sell to you for the one-time only price of $150 that doesn't actually include the game, but it does sound pretty rad. It's probably going to sell out fast, and You should probably get a copy while you can. Also, while you're there, since you appear to have money to spend on things other than food and rent in this economy, why don't you check out my merch down below in the video description? And on that bombshell, that's it for this week's episode of Mingles with Jingles. I hope you've all enjoyed it. I hope you all had a fantastic weekend. Now forget it, because it's Monday. And as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.